Hi Ron, Chris here, up in the mountains, checking out this particular e-bike here that I've been testing for the last 3 days. It is from a company called VV. It's a 26-inch e-bike, mountain bike here. It does have dual suspension, a 350-watt motor, 160mm mechanical disc brakes, and a range of realistically around, I would say, 30 to 35 kilometers maximum. 21-speed Shimano gears, and the weight of it is approximately about 20 kilos or so. So in this in-depth review, I'll be putting it through its paces, some road tests. I'll let you know exactly what kind of range I can get out of, how it is to ride, the power of the motor in climbs, and anything else that does come up. So I have 26-inch rims with this one. The tires on them, they are CST brand, so 26 by 1.95. Our rear hub motor in this one is 350 watts maximum, and we do have mechanical disc brakes. These are 160 millimeters. It does come with a kickstand, which is on the bike out of the box, and it is sturdy enough to hold it up without any problems at all. This right here is our controller, so it's external, this one, so none of the batteries or the controller is inside the frame, which is a shame. Now it does have a rear shock, or really a dampener here. Now it's a no-name brand one. This gets very little travel, but at least it is something. Our seat is fully adjustable with a quick release mechanism, and there is a rear reflector, but no rear tail light with this. The front mechanical disc brake, just like the rear, is 166 millimeters. Now we do at least get a front headlight. Now I've seen this headlight used on many e-bikes before out of China, probably about 5 of them now. It has 4 LEDs within it. It is very bright. You can actually see it in daylight too, and at night it does light up the path ahead of you and does a very good job. The shock at the front is a no brand one, and we have approximately 2.5 inches of travel with this particular shock, and I'll be testing it out in this review and let you know how it performs. Included, which you do need to screw in, are of course our pedals. Now these ones are made out of a hard ABS style plastic. There are reflectors in these. Now if you wanted to swap them out for metal pedals or higher quality ones, it's easy enough to do so. So for gears with this one, we've got Shimano's Tourney 21-speed setup, which is 3 at the front and 7 gears at the back. And here you'll find the release mechanism, which is just a quick release for the foldable part of the bike. So this is where in the frame it is divided in 2, and you can fold it in half to stow it away if needed or get it into a car. Now the quality of it and the quality in general of this frame is not quite as good as what I've seen on some of the other e-bikes out there. Overall it's okay. It's just some of the finish with the materials and the paint job, you can see some rough edges on it. Just for example, around here you can see a few little dots and rough edges with the finish of it. The paint job, however, that is not bad on this bike. This is what it looks like when it is completely folded up, so this aids in the ease of stowing it away under a stairwell or to put it in, say, the trunk or the boot of your car. You would have noticed that we've got our battery pack right here, so it's 8 amp hours. It takes approximately 4 to 5 hours to fully charge. Right here is the charging port, and you do need to plug it in here. So this is waterproof. The zip around it as well keeps the water out, so you don't have to worry about this being rained on. It should not be an issue at all. At least the good thing about this is that you're able to replace the battery or get another one too and plug it in straight away. You just unzip it, put it inside. But I don't really like the aesthetics of this. Having an external battery pack strapped on the front is, to me, a lot uglier looking than having it inside the frame like we do with other e-bikes. So handlebar width is pretty much standard here for a bike like this. We don't have any lock grips. Now I've actually swapped the grips out because I did install the handlebar accelerator here, which you can do. That's an optional extra. It's included in the box, and just check with your local laws if you're actually allowed to run this. So without even pedaling, you can use this to accelerate and get yourself away. So here is our gears right here. That's the 7 at the back, and then over the other side we have the 3 at the front there, and then our controller, which allows us to see our power level. So each one of these 5 red dots there represents 20% battery. So right now you can see I've got 100%. So when one of those batteries lights goes out, that means I'll be at 80%, or between 80 and 100%. So low, medium to high assist levels is controllable here with the plus and minus keys. If you hold down the plus key, that will then turn on the front LED headlight. The handlebar height is adjustable right here. So with an Allen key, you can increase this to raise or lower the handlebars according to your own preference. So the seat right here, pretty much a standard cheap mountain bike seat. It has a little bit of padding in it, and overall in my time riding it, I've done now 22 kilometers with just one ride. I haven't had any issues with it. So there's a crank sensor in this, of course, so when I start to pedal, it then detects that and gives me some assistance. So we've got the low, medium, high settings here, and as mentioned before, that is my battery gauge. Now my knees, they are quite a distance away from the handlebars here, so I don't see any problem with me having my knees strike them unless I was to turn super sharply. But your normal kind of turning circles, that really is not going to be an issue. So I have a little bit of a rust spot here. The front shock is handling this just fine. You do feel it and hear it clunking around. Now gear changes, typical Shimano, that it is pretty good. They seem to be reasonably smooth and crisp and no real issues with them there. So comfort wise, not bad, and I do like the fact that I can just use the accelerator here to cruise along without needing to pedal at all. But it's quite slow. It's only around 20 kilometers per hour that it gets me up to. At least that's within legal limits, of course. Now just along this stretch, it is quite bumpy, these pavers that they do have along this coastal path, and I can feel again that the shocks, they are doing something, at least taking out some of the bumps, and much better than a bike that if it didn't have any shocks at all, you would definitely be rocking all over the place. So it helps to smooth out the ride a little bit. Just along this stretch, I have a gentle ride, and I'm only using the accelerator here. I'm not pedaling at all. The motor's on the high setting, and you can see it's doing a very decent job of this. But I'm doing approximately 20 kilometers per hour here, and it's able to handle this climb. Now you can hear the motor a little bit. It seems to have a reasonable amount of torque, but what I'll do next is go to a place where I've got quite a steep climb, and we'll see then just how this motor is going to handle that if I need to pedal, and I do believe I will have to. And right now, or even less than that, it's now starting to run out of puff, so I do need to start pedaling, and I can feel now it's giving me a boost. So if you're going to have a lot of steep climbs around your area, then you are going to have to pedal a little bit and put some effort into it. At least you're getting some fitness then out of this bike. Now this climb is quite difficult normally without the motor assisting me. I'm definitely feeling it helping push me up here. And I'm on the highest possible setting too, by the way. So I made it about a 350 meter climb over about 1.5 kilometers. The bike has done surprisingly well. It was so much easier to ride over this and up without even really working up too much of a sweat. So how does it handle light trails like this? Not really too much of an issue. Now I normally ride these technical trails around this area on a 29-inch Trek, full suspension, and I wouldn't really tackle them with a cheap bike like this, but I wanted to test it out. So little light trails like this with a few little rocks and things, fine. You can hear the suspension clanking away now and then, giving me a little bit of travel on the front. The rear, very, very little travel. Now there's a bit of a drop up here, which I'm a little bit nervous about taking on an e-bike such as this one with limited travel, but let's see how this goes. It could be a good blooper reel if I crap out down this. Wow, that was pretty rough going. And then now riding down this trail, again, it's rough going, but I need to make it down to the coast again. Okay, so I made it down that rocky trail in one piece and to the end of the coast here. In summertime, you can see how busy this place gets. Absolutely packed full of people now. So braking test now, going to go down this hill. Once I reach a certain point, I'll let you know, and I put full emergency braking on just to test out those 160mm mechanical disc brakes. So once I reach this post here, on a full brake now. All right, not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Of course, if this had hydraulic brakes, braking performance would be a lot better. So before my camera gets blown away and I'm blown off the mountainside here, let's talk about the range that you're able to achieve out of a mountain bike like this. So my first ride, I got 22 kilometers with 2 steep climbs. Second charge, second ride, 25 kilometers. This was me monitoring it with GPS that I do on my watch. So I think the range is okay considering the climbs and things. If you're on the flat, mostly you don't have a lot of big hills to climb up, then I think it's possible to get around 30 to 35 kilometers out of this. Now my weight, I'm about 81 kilos at the moment. If you are lighter, expect even better range. If you're heavier, then your range will be less, of course. So to get up to this point here in the mountain to climb up, I did end up losing 1 bar of battery, which is 20%. So those climbs really do burn through it. However, the 350 watt motor made this climb an absolute breeze. Normally when I get to the top, I'm sweating like crazy. I have to work really hard without any motor, of course, in the lowest gear, the granny gear, pedaling up that hill. And I did it on the 3rd gear and I just rocketed it up without really any problem and not breaking out too much of a sweat there. If you think you can still do those climbs without putting any effort into it, no, you still need to pedal a little bit on the steeper climbs, definitely. Now, just using the accelerator, you are able to get around places like town and wherever you need to go at around 23 to sometimes about 25 kilometers per hour out of this particular bike. Now, the suspension, we get about 1 inch of travel, not even that really, on the rear, which is a little bit, which helps out with some of those bumps. The front shock, that's about 2 to 2.5 inches only, but at least it's better than nothing, right? If this didn't have any shocks at all, going along some of these trails that I've just been testing out and riding would be very hard going and quite bumpy. However, I would not be riding this down really rocky terrain. It's simply not the quality of bike for that. Build quality wise, it is a little bit cheap in some areas, like the latch mechanism, but it is strong, it bolts on, it's not going to unfold on me when I'm riding here, which is the main thing, but you do notice a few little rough spots. All up, the design of it is really like they took a 26-inch normal foldable mountain bike and then bolted on the extras. So the battery pack, having it here for me, is a little bit ugly. I wish it was part of the frame or there was another way they've done it, or maybe put the battery here or something. Still, it does take around 4 to 5 hours to charge the 8 amp hour battery, and as mentioned, a possible range of up to, say, 30 kilometers is achievable with this. The gears from Shimano working well. The brakes in the beginning I did find a little on the scary side until I bed them in. They do need about 15 to 20 kilometers or so of just using those brakes before they then start to grip a lot better. They're only mechanical discs. If they were hydraulic, they would certainly be better, but it would push the price of this e-bike up. Speaking of pricing, it does sell for around 800 euros, this particular bike. And well, there we go. That is the full story behind the VV 26-inch foldable e-bike. Thank you so much for watching this review. I do hope to see you back in the next one.